Hi, and welcome to another edition of The Right Has Left. I am your host, Roy Garden, and as always, we cover breaking news and events from this past week from our nation's capital, led by Donald Trump, our illustrious president. And The Right Has Left, as I've discussed in previous podcasts, deals with the Republican Party because the Republican Party, as I once knew it, is not the same Republican Party. So I've titled this podcast, The Right Has Actually Left Its Platform as it was designed to be. So let's go ahead and get into some breaking news that's going on in our nation's capital. And the first thing that we need to talk about is this guy right here. Yeah, Dr. Oz. Another TV personality has been appointed to lead Medicare and Medicaid. He just got approved from the Republican Senate. So we can add another TV personality to Trump's cabinet, along with Pete Hegseth, who used to be on Fox News. So here you go, Dr. Oz. And this is a guy that has a lot of conspiracy theories, just right along his counterpart, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who also is in the news. We'll talk about him in just a moment. But Dr. Oz, for crying out loud, I for the life of me, I don't know how this guy can be taking care of, Medicare and Medicaid. Now, true, Dr. Oz actually has some background in some medical capacity, but still, he also has a lot of far-reaching conspiracy theories about drugs and things like that, just like Kennedy does. Kennedy, of course, he has no experience in the medical field, and he's leading Health and Human Services. But Dr. Oz, I swear. You know what? Well, let's go ahead and talk about Robert F. Kennedy Jr., because he has continued his rampage, if that's what you want to call it for lack of better words, on firing people. Again, hundreds of federal health care workers on Tuesday, just this past week, learned their jobs have also been cut, with many turned away at their office buildings because their security passes didn't work. The Department of Health and Human Services, or HHS, moved forward with its mass restructuring plan under Kennedy. Now, these layoffs, affected agencies responsible for overseeing the nation's food and drug safety, as well as those fighting disease. Now, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Stated that these 10,000 people that lost their jobs falls in line with Donald Trump's plan, as well as Doge and Musk, to make sure that we can get these people have they don't need to be there because they're unnecessary jobs. So they're going to reduce the workforce from 80,000 people to 60,000 people. And Donald Trump, as you know, has worked since Inauguration Day that a lot of these people don't need to be there on their jobs. Now, what's kind of funny about this is that Kennedy went ahead just recently and decided the fact that, maybe I need to bring some of these people back because I think I let too many people go. This is the nature of who we got in the White House and the cabinet right now. People who don't know what the hell they're doing. And I swear, it's just absolutely crazy. Now, to add to that, we've got another great thing that's been going on in the White House with Donald Trump, and that is with this loon actress, Laura Loomer. Yeah, I just talked about Dr. Oz. Now we're going to talk about Laura Loomer. She is back in the news. You remember her? She was kind of like sneaking around in the background on the during the campaign when Trump was running for president and giving this guy, Donald Trump's advice. Well, now you've got Laura Loomer, and she had a very extraordinary meeting with him. It lasted about 30 minutes in the Oval Office. And as you know, Laura's a far-right activist, and she laid out a list of people she personally believed were disloyal to to the president, and U.S. officials said on Thursday that the firings, that's right, Donald Trump went ahead and fired a bunch of people because of the fact of the matter that he felt that they were disloyal. 6 of these people were fired from the National Security Council. And Trump, on the basis of what Laura Loomer told him, they were disloyal. So without even talking to them, without even interviewing them at all, he just went ahead and said, "You're fired because Laura Loomer says you're disloyal. So get the hell out of here." I just cannot believe this guy that he would just go ahead and fire these people without even talking with them and seeing if they're in fact were disloyal. But because Laura Loomer says so, you know what? You don't have to, you don't belong here. So he based it a little bit on some information that he got from some other people too. But, Michael Walls, the National Security Advisor, he joined in later in the meeting about, the firings, and he defended some of his staff, but Donald Trump would not have any of it. So, he had little power to protect their jobs. So he just said, I don't want to get fired myself, and which he probably would have if Donald Trump had it his way. So, that's just the nature of the business there, folks. That's what goes on. So, again, with the people that are presently running our government, before I get into talking about the terrorists, the Laura Loomers, the Dr. Oz's in this world who have little background in running our government, they may have some personal background, but they don't have any government background. Our country is used to be being run by people who have had time in Congress, they've had time in the Senate, they've had time in other appointed posts, and they kind of rise to a level where they have some competency. And when you got a president who is taking advice from the likes of Elon Musk, who are billionaires, and things like that, and you've got Dr. Oz and you've got the Laura Loomers in this world giving this guy advice, it just doesn't make sense. So I just don't know where the heck we can go with this. So you know what, we do have some good news though in this world of ours, and that is Susan Crawford. Susan Crawford just got appointed back to the Wisconsin Supreme Court amongst all the millions of dollars that Donald Trump had Elon Musk pump into the state to try to get her out from being voted in as the next Wisconsin State Supreme Court. And I found that kind of funny. Due to the fact is that, he even gave away, millions, $2 million, $1 million each checks to people if they would get on a voting platform to recruit people to vote Republican. Yet Susan prevailed, and God bless her for that. And even with all the millions of dollars, and this was one of the most expensive political campaigns ever, she actually came out and made it. So, I found that kind of cool that she would make it. Now, here in Florida, as I've got some graphics here, if I can find where the heck they went. Well, let's see here. Oh, there it is. Here's the graphic I'm looking for. Thanks for bearing with me. In Florida, these people won their seats back. I want to talk, the guy, one of the gentlemen on the top, on the left-hand side there, he's in District 1. He got reelected. That's really not newsworthy. But the guy on the right, Randy Fine, he is kind of newsworthy, and I'll tell you why. I have personally met several times when I used to live in Brevard County. Randy Fine, I've talked to this guy. He is basically kind of an oversized Matt Gaetz as far as his attitude and the theatrics that he does. He's flipped the middle finger off to people on media. He has called one school board member a whore because of, anybody goes against him, he's kind of like Trump in a lot of ways. He just throws it right back at him. And I mean, he degrades people. And I guess if there's a shining light anywhere, these two people did not win by landslides. They didn't even win by high margins. They barely got their butts back into office. And I know most people who are staunch Republicans says, well, as long as they got reelected, hell, that's all that matters, isn't it? Yeah, well, the thing of it is come election time in 2 years when we have the races open wide up, because this was just a fill-in race to fill the seats. This gives some telltale signs that not everything in the world is as good as it seems. So, they didn't win by large margins. So I just want you to be aware of that. Come election time in 2 years, the Democrats might be getting back some things and some seats in both in the Senate and the House, because people are not happy. And that brings us to our next main subject matter about this podcast, and that is the tariffs that Trump put on. Stock markets are plummeting. Gas just went up 25 cents a gallon if you haven't looked at your pump lately out there. Maple syrup, beer imports, homes and car parts are all gonna go up because of these tariffs. You know what? Trump could give a crap less. And I'll tell you why. As you saw my ticker there, they don't give a crap because with all these things going on with the tariffs, Trump goes down to his property in Miami and plays in a golf tournament on Air Force One, which is on our tax dollars. He gets these tariffs going. Everything goes to hell. Prices go up. Lumber that's, imported from Canada, that's got a tariffs on it now, because these countries, they're just not going to sit by and say, okay, big deal. They're going to put their tariffs on their stuff that they export back to here in the United States. The whole purpose of these tariffs is Trump thinks in his little mind that everybody's going to open up factories back in the United States because of these tariffs, because they're scared and they're going to say, well, if we put a factory back in the United States, will you lift the tariffs? Many of these countries aren't going to do that. They're just going to say, we're okay just selling our stuff to the people here in Europe. And, even with these tariffs, you notice one thing, he didn't put 1 penny of tariffs on anything from Russia, and Russia exports oil and everything else. He didn't put any tariffs on his good old buddy Putin. No, he wouldn't do that. But he did put tariffs on China, which they in turn raised their tariffs 33% on stuff that they export back to the United States. And they export a hell of a lot of products. Those barges going across the seas every day are loaded with things from China, and they're going to tax the hell back out of the United States. So get ready for that. So the sad thing about this is with these tariffs, income of roughly $43,000 among the lowest in the country, they're going to see their disposable income drop by 2.3% from the tariffs that were announced on Wednesday versus 0.9% for the highest earning households with disposable incomes above $500,000. Now, what is, again, sad about all of this is the fact of the matter is you're going to be looking at about $4,000 a year in taxes. And for people who live paycheck to paycheck, especially those on fixed incomes, say they just live on their Social Security, that's a hell of a lot of money from this guy, Donald Trump. And it's just flat sad that somebody like him can put all these taxes on stuff, and it's going to be hard on people. It really is. And this guy here in the background, J.D. Vance, well, he shot his mouth off at a recent interview and just told people to suck it up. Watch this.
But I also know people that come from our background, they're living paycheck to paycheck.
Of course.
And they want to do the patriotic duty of taking it to these other countries, but it's going to hit them a little bit. They feel. What can you tell the American people that they just can't afford an extra $3 here and there about the government making up the difference from that? Will costs go up at some point? Will this just be temporary? Are we talking 3 months or 6 months?
Well, we certainly hear, and I appreciate, how I grew up.
I know.
I grew up in a family that often did live paycheck to paycheck, and we know a lot of Americans are worried. So we are fighting very hard to bring prices down. We know people are struggling. We're fighting as quickly as we can to fix what was left to us, but it's not going to happen immediately. But we really do believe that if we pursue the right deregulation, we pursue those energy cost-reducing policies, yes, people are going to see it in their pocketbook. They're also going to benefit from the fact that foreign countries can't take advantage of us anymore. That means their jobs are going to be more secure.
So besides the tariffs that he put on almost every country in the world, with the exception of Russia I just mentioned, he also put tariffs on, Australia as well. And what's funny about that is the fact of the matter is he had these little penguins that he also put a tariff off. Now, these penguins are in a country in just off of Australia, near Antarctica, and he didn't realize that, of course. When he did these tariffs, they affected about 180 countries and regions, and they're going to all retaliate back to us. And the little countries that aren't even populated belong to Australia, but as I said, they're by Antarctica. So you've been hearing the joke that's going on that he's got tariffs on penguins. Now, these penguins live on some small uninhabited islands south of Australia, on Heard Island and McDonald Island, and they're mostly barren. And but the only thing that lives there are the penguins, and the penguins now have tariffs. So if you want to buy yourself a penguin, and they come from those countries, if you're in the market for a penguin, you're going to be paying a high tariff on them as well. So next time you're down in Antarctica, just stop by and say hello to one of those penguins, and make sure you don't try to buy one, because there's huge tariffs on those penguins as well. Now, what is so freaking funny about all of this is the fact of the matter is, damn well that when Trump went for these tariffs, he had no idea what was where. He just said, we're going to put tariffs on every country in the world, and by God, they're going to pay it, or they're going to come to the United States and create factories and stuff so we can put our American people to work. And so he really doesn't have a clue what he's doing, folks. He really doesn't. So I don't know how we can a matter of fact, do anything in this world when you've got people like that go around and create these ridiculous tariffs and don't even research anything that they do. As I said at the beginning of my podcast, and I've got a degree in entrepreneurship and business administration, okay? So I know a little bit of what I'm talking about. Tariffs do work if they're applied appropriately for the purposes of what you're trying to negotiate. But when you do tariffs in the way that Donald Trump does it and just puts them across 160 countries in the world and say, y'all got tariffs on you now, so I'll lift them if you just all come to the United States and do business here. He thinks that his bully tactics work. And these countries also have customers elsewhere in the world, and they're all going to band together, as they've already done, like China, and just increase tariffs higher than his at 33+% on goods and services that they're going to send back to the United States, and we're all going to pay for it, the consumers. Now, the billionaire buddies like Trump has, that's nothing to them. They don't care about paying a little extra because they got the money to do so. But common folks like you and I, we can't absorb this. It's going to hurt our pocketbooks tremendously, and people are already seeing that. Now, if you haven't had a wake-up call already in your brain and use some critical thinking skills, this isn't going to work. And I know J.D. Vance says, well, it'll smart for a little while, but it's all going to work out and you're all going to be okay. Well, the stock markets are telling you something differently, aren't you? The price at the gas pump, it's telling you something differently now, isn't it? So, I beg to differ with these folks about what they think about what these tariffs are going to do. And finally in the news on this podcast, TikTok's got more life for another 75 days. Donald Trump extended TikTok. Now, again, TikTok was this close to getting purchased by a U.S. entity, and China stopped it. And why did China stop it? Because of the tariffs. They said no sale, Donald Trump, because of just what you did to us as far as those tariffs. So TikTok, it didn't go, did it? So there you go. There's the news from this past week, both nationally and here in Florida. I'm Roy Garten, for your host from the Right Has Left. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Until next week, you all try to have a good and happy and fun week. Until then, take care.